Ding.
Hi.
You're on, live on internet.
Hey, guys.
There's nobody
Internets.
here.
Okay. Well, there's not always people here.
Well, I wanted to let you know that you were live, so in case you said something wrong.
Let me run away real quick and go get our glasses of ice, so then we can just get right into the show. Okay?
All right.
Just
Whatever you got to do,
I
big
guess
fella.
sound check's over.
fuck y'all.
Thanks for ruining a fun time, man. Just having a good time talking to our friends.
We're just chatting. Maybe I won't stop sound check. Maybe I'll just keep sound check going indefinitely.
Last time we did that, we were talking last week. People fucking left us during on the TikTok.
That's true.
That's
Well, no one's here anyway, so it's fine.
Make with the sun, fuck assholes.
Anybody checking in there?
Not yet.
What's all that then?
Whoa. What? Oh, that's all the channels are on.
Oh.
I can look in to see, and I see, look, we're live on the YouTubies. Let's, I can view it on the YouTubies. Let's go look.
See how it's looking?
Oh, there you go.
Is it going to play it? Yeah, it's playing the sound.
There's nobody in Sam's seat. That's weird. I can view it on the Facey Bookies. It's going to play it, though.
It played it there.
Oh, there we go. We're live on the Facey Bookies. Should be sharing the other group.
Sweet.
Someone's going to bring cookies.
Who's bringing
Oh.
cookies?
I have a friend of mine coming over next Saturday we're going to get drunk on wine and burn shit if we get ever out of this fire thing. She wanted to go out to dinner, fairly fancy, expensive dinner, and I tried to blow her off. I didn't try to blow her off. I just said I couldn't go because Sam, unemployed, don't want to spend money. And so instead, I said, let's get drunk in my backyard. So she's going to bring, just texted me, cookies, and she makes the best cookies.
That's good.
But going out to dinner, four of us, no. But sitting in my backyard getting drunk on wine, great idea.
We could do that. Yeah. That sounds good. The 15th, that should be the celebratory St. Patrick's Day time.
Is it? Are you having a St. Patrick's Day party, or
We
did
are
you
not.
decide you had kids?
This year, we're not doing it. The Skylar's too young and doesn't sleep enough.
That's fair.
Next year, we'll be back on.
That's fair. So, I don't know. May just be my friend and our husbands. We may see if we want to invite other people. We may do a fire. We may just run around the backyard naked drinking wine.
So, you know what how I got around.
Saturday.
Oh, yeah, heard.
You know how I got around the fire
And she's
ban.
bringing cookies.
Oh. Who's coming?
We're hanging out with Kristen and her beau, and we're going to drink wine in the backyard.
Oh, okay. Very good.
Ides of March.
Yep. I was just wondering who was coming over is what I had said.
Yes.
You know how I got around the fire ban?
How you get around the fire ban.
Solo stove.
Yeah.
I'm alive.
Solo stove's money.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't have any of the issues that traditional fire pits have
Right.
that are fire banned.
Right. Mel, do you want any on ice as well, or are you
Yes,
good?
please. Oh, no, I got some ice.
Okay.
I'm
So
good.
I'm killing it right now.
Yeah. Because you got the solo stove. Very nice.
So
I like that.
I can fire it when no one else can fire it.
Yeah. By the way, everybody, very fucking freaky. I went out to the kitchen to go get the glassware for us to do the show, and the show Mel and I were watching was paused, but because it's on the DVR setup, it goes back to cable. So I walk in and I'm like starting to grab glassware, and I start hearing voices, and I'm like, "Who the fuck is in my living room?"
Oh fuck!
Because also the TV. What the fuck?
Sam, whoa, fucked.
Oh, Mel, by the way, I need that on my board. I will use it sparingly, but I do need it on
What
my
a fuck.
board.
All right,
What a
I'll make
fuck.
sure it's there. I said, Kristen, are you aware that I'm just now talking on Facebook Live about you and our plans on Saturday? She goes, no, I'm not. I'm like, well, just making sure.
And, but the TV is paused. But because it's Verizon, it goes back to live TV, but the screen is still paused. So it's just like, the fuck?
That's funny.
What crazy devil people are in my fucking
Yeah,
living
no
room
shit.
talking?
Full reels.
We were
we-
watching Drag Race.
Are we ready to do a show, kids?
I am ready to do le show.
Oh, we're still doing sound check.
Okay, well, that's what I was asking.
I guess we're checked on sound.
Whore.
Why do you?
Why do you? Why do you, Mel?
Why do y'all
Why?
over here want to do a show? You know,
Chicken, banana.
Oh, chicken,
Chicken, banana.
TikTok.
Banana.
I
Banana.
bet.
It's
Chicken,
this song, and they're
banana.
doing AI to do chicken banana. It'll be like little chicken with banana wings. It just,
Right.
yeah.
It's the dumbest shit ever, and I'm
and she walks around the
Between
house going
that-
chicken banana.
between that and just checking in a couple times a day on the Eagles.
You know what I found out about AI? It's still pretty limited because it's just gathering information from the internet,
Right.
and then it discerns it and is able to spit you back a response, right?
Right, of course.
So you know how it fucking can't do hands right when it does pictures?
Right.
Hands and feet are fucked.
Are always wrong.
And then also, apparently, it physically can fucking not turn you back a picture of a full to the brim glass of wine.
Really?
Because no one ever pours a full to the brim glass of wine and
Yeah.
photographs it.
Oh,
so
shit.
even if you ask it directly, I want a glass of wine filled to the brim with wine,
It'll only be half
it
full.
will still only be half full. No matter what you say to it, because no one has ever uploaded a photo of a glass of wine filled to the brim.
Okay, well, I need
Like
to
properly.
now. I need to now upload the first photo on the internet, so that way it becomes the source material for all of it.
Heard.
Do you get paid on that?
No.
Then fucking why waste the time?
Chicken, banana.
Don't
That's
make
what
it.
she wastes her time
Also,
on.
don't make it smarter.
Yeah. No.
Then Sam really won't get another job.
There are lawyers who are being in trouble for using AI ChatGPT for citing phantom cases that don't exist.
Lawyers?
Yeah, they're using it to cite casework, and they think it's pulling from stuff, and it's not. It just makes it up. Like I put in there sometimes, going, "All right, show me like Annapolis history, blah 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 blah," and it just completely fabricates it. And so anybody using it like a lawyer to try to cut down their time it's just completely making shit up.
Sweet.
Yeah.
You should try it. Yeah, just try it and put in
No,
like
I'm good. I'd rather just traditionally, Google things and do my own research.
That's how you got your science degree.
Just stay informed,
All right, let's go ahead and do a show, kids.
or just watch the news like a normal person.
Which news? Whose news? Why news?
All the news.
Where news?
Hi, this is Tom Simpson from Arnold, Maryland. I love soccering, and you are listening to the DU Football Show. Go soccer, guys. Soccer good.
I haven't heard that one in a long time.
Somebody's fixed up his board and was able to find all the old drops. So
I like that.
yeah, it's all organized and shit.
I like the soccering.
Yeah, the soccering. It was that, or it was going to be Taylor's Roy Parler one for you.
Yeah.
Just to fuck with you.
I like it.
Let's start the show.
Born in the land of Bowie, Maryland. Bred to be a fan of fucking Everton. Punch you in the eye and drink your rye. Sam Houston. Sam Houston? Arsenal fans have another Sam. AKA the fucking Gooner Graham. Stump of my lord. Look straight in shorts. Sam Graham, hey.
Sam Graham.
Fucking United! Fucking United!
Hello and welcome to the DU Football Show, a completely biased recap of the English Premier League as told by two common American schmucks. I am your host, Sam Houston, and golfing his way through paternity,
Come on.
Mr. Samuel Graham. How you doing
Just
over there, good sir?
One golf day.
So it's
Out of the
better
4 weeks I had, it's one golf day.
to create the narrative that you're just, not a good father.
Exploiting
You
my
just-
leave, yeah,
and that's all
and
you're
all that
doing is
stuff.
playing
That's
golf.
not the case though. It is one golf day out of the 4 weeks. I'm hanging a television tomorrow. I also have to go to the grocery store. I have to fold my laundry because I prioritized the children's laundry over my laundry yesterday.
Oh, what a giver.
Yeah, well, wouldn't be a bottom. Is all I'm saying.
Heard.
You know, it's funny. A couple of us at the office the other day, it's terribly inappropriate, actually. A couple of us at the office the other day were oogling over a Albanian woman that I came across. who does the television for, I think it's Albanian TV, but it may just be some sort of Eastern European kind of Sky for the Champions League show. And she fit. Good looking woman.
Don't you know it?
And randomly, we had just taken a pickle shot because that's how my office operates.
Right, of course.
We had just taken a pickle shot, and I was just looking at my phone, and I just went, man, if I looked like her, I'd be getting railed every goddamn day. To which one sales rep friend of mine replied, "That's gay." And one of the managers replied, "Me too." Then we were left with another quandary. I said, "How's it gay? Because I'm the woman in this situation, right? So it's not me. I don't want that right now,
right?
And I got agreed with by old Dave.
And of course, on the ones and twos, producer Mel. How you doing over there?
Don't call my
Mel?
HR, please.
Nobody's calling his HR. We just call Russ when we have problems.
Just how it goes.
That's good.
Yeah.
I mean,
Then I'll
it's-
scoot by again.
Hi, producer Mel. How are you?
Good. Selling tickets to another murder tour. So if you want to come
Nice.
hear about Annapolis murder, Wednesday, March 26th is the next dinner.
You said murder wrong, Mrs. Houston.
Murder.
Much better.
Thank you.
We're recording at the DU Public House just outside the nation's capital. You can check us out wherever you get your podcasts. And of course, streaming live every single Monday night. You know what? Also, though, guys, real quick, listenership's gone down a little bit. We need you guys to share with your footballing friends. Take a second, do a little review, a little 5 stars, all that. We haven't been doing that call to action lately, so help us out, people. We need it. And should you want to chat with us, there are as many ways that you can. Mr. Graham, tell the good people how they can get in touch.
Absolutely. It's at DU Football Show on all the social media and dufootballshow@gmail.com to get in touch via email. What should we tell them to comment so we know that they listened?
Well, last
It
time
should
we
be a
did
specific word because it doesn't matter
Last
what
time
they
we
say.
did
It's just that they said something.
Last time we did D-back, I say this time, pone.
Hashtag pone.
Hashtag pone.
Your review should be 5 stars and hashtag pone, PONE.
Yep,
and
then
we'll
we
know
know.
you listened.
We know you listened.
That'll
Very
be good.
I like that. Very good call.
Yeah, because it doesn't matter what they do. It's just the fact that they're doing it is what boosts the profile of the search. So you can say anything.
Right.
Say hashtag sneakers. It doesn't matter.
Oh,
You know what I mean?
there was a show I used to listen to called The Crab Feast, and they would say give it 5 stars, and in the comments do fuck the Crab Feast.
Yeah.
That would just be what the comment
Exactly.
would be. So yeah, very good.
So hashtag pone, PONE. Let's see it.
Sam and myself both work in the wine and spirit industry and both have a deep passion and love for all things distilled spirits. So as the red-blooded Americans we are, we vow to have a drink in our hand throughout this show and every single show. We are stepping back because we did number 7 last week because we were waiting for this bottle, number 8, to come in
Which, of course, came in the day after we fucking recorded,
from
essentially.
across the sea because
motherfucker.
it is not available in America yet. Go ahead, Mr. Graham. Tell us about what we got.
You know what I am worried about?
What's
Is
that?
I was thinking about it as I pulled up.
Uh-huh.
I was thinking about how this is probably the last week or two where whiskey without the E will be comforting
Yeah.
because of the temperature. And then I'm looking through the rest of the list,
Oh, yeah.
and we've got 2 more
1, 2, and 3
Islas.
are Islas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're not getting to them until probably
May.
the last week of April, early May.
Yeah,
And it's
exactly.
just like, fuck.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, number 8 now. Again, stepping back to number 8, we've got the Glenmorangie 16-year-old, The Nectar. You'll remember a few years ago we did one on the show. I don't believe it was the top 20, but it was the Nectar d'Or, the D''OR, like of the gold.
Yeah, because their Quinto Robal was the one, the port one for
Yes.
Glenmorangie that made it, and then they had a single farm one that made it.
But
as
I know
well.
we've done the Nectar d'Or on the show
Oh, yeah,
at
multiple
one
times.
point or another, which was a Sauterne finish, non-age stated Glenmorangie. This one is an age stated. This is a 16-year-old, as I said. They rated it a 94, but what they did say on this one, the one biggest difference, it says bourbon and sweet white wine casks.
Mm-hmm.
So may not necessarily be a Sauterne finish.
Yeah.
Could just be some sort of sweet grape, like an aged Riesling, or for whatever reason, I don't know if anybody rests Moscato, but
Yeah,
let's see.
It also could be too. They're just not able to get the
Sauternes.
the Chateau Yquem, which
Right.
is what they used to use.
Oh, yeah,
They
yeah.
wouldn't put it, but Glenmorangie is owned by
Diageo.
Moet Hennessy, actually.
Well, okay, fair enough.
And Chateau Yquem is owned by
Moet Hennessy.
Hennessy.
I gotcha.
So it's very easy to deduct that, but also people aren't buying $1,000 375s of dessert wine much anymore. So there's probably a shortage on barrels. So they're probably using some Sauterne, but not
exclusively.
Not the Sauterne that they were
Right,
using.
exactly. So anyway, should cost you around $90 once it gets to the States. I reckon you'll probably be looking more about 100. 92 proof, and the panel rated it a 94. Your blurb comes from Julia Higgins of the Whiskey Advocate. The former Glenmorangie Nectar D'Or 12-year has been reimagined into the Nectar, which features 4 additional years of aging and a far more complex. I don't remember it saying 12-year on the label.
It didn't. I'll get to that.
Okay. Far more complex finishing process done with a combination of Sauterne, Monbazillac.
Okay.
Does that sound right? Muscatel and Tokaji casks.
Tokai.
Okay. The result is spectacular. The nose is awash in aromas of ripe apricot, juicy peach, lemon-coated apple, and Nilla wafer. Not vanilla wafer, Mel. Nilla wafer. And no apostrophe, which is weird. While the palate reveals more apricot than orange scones, honey, a crack of pepper spice. I wasn't asking Carly to get me a orange scone.
Right.
And buttered toast. Warm baking spice also joins the party, coating the mouth in cinnamon French toast and sliced almond, making for an elegant and balanced dram.
It's fucking phenomenal. I mean, it's absolutely phenomenal.
It is delicious.
The extra years gave it a little more oomph. I think adding the multiple dessert wines, because that's everything that you mentioned. Sauterne comes from Bordeaux.
But again, hard to come by.
The Muscatel comes from the Loire, and then Tokai is Turkish.
Okay.
I mean, no, not Turkish, Austrian-Hungary, that do dessert wines. And they're all the same thing. They're that kind of, botrytis, sweeter, moldy white grape.
Right. So those that don't know, there is a good kind of mold. They call it in the wine business. They call it noble rot. It is called botrytis.
Yep.
Is its Latin terminology. It is a typically affects Sauvignon Blanc grapes in Bordeaux is what you tend to think of. It can also affect Semillon. But basically, what it is the intense wet fog that rolls in off the river in Bordeaux onto those Sauvignon Blanc fields keeps the grapes so moist that in the day they end up getting fungus instead of drying off and ripening because the air is so fucking moist.
Yep.
But that rot, it's not a traditional mold that's bad for you necessarily. What that mold does is it sucks the acidity out of the fucking grapes and it just makes them so super, super sweet. Because you'll know Sauvignon Blanc obviously as a very dry white wine, and very acidic white wine. Well, when you suck that acidity out, it no longer is dry, and becomes this uber sweet stuff. They then take that juice from those pressed grapes and they barrel age it, which is also why if you buy a bottle of Sauterne, it is in a very golden amber color, almost reminiscent of a younger whiskey.
Higher
in terms
alcohol
of
too,
color.
and 3
also higher alcohol
bottles.
Exactly. But because botrytis doesn't always happen, they tend to hang on to some of the juice so they can have a release every year.
Yep.
So they don't release full bottles of it. Plus, it's that sweet, you probably couldn't drink a full bottle of it.
Yeah.
So you're looking at a 375 is a standard package for a Sauterne, and it's uber expensive to get. So just a little background, because I know we don't talk wine often on this show, if at all, ever, unless we're talking about Big Sam, and he hasn't been in the game for real for a while. And even then, we're talking about wine and pints, baby.
Yeah, exactly.
So pint glasses, that is, because this technically is a pint.
Exactly.
But
we're talking about Allardyce, not me, Big Sam.
Well, you've been known to down a pint of wine.
It wouldn't stop me.
Was that night before we went to DC United Everton?
Yep. Yeah, exactly.
we killed 4 750s.
Yes, we did.
That would be 8 pints.
Yeah.
Anyway, we so just a little background on that, and that's why that happens, and then those barrels, just like a beer finished whiskey or a port finished whiskey or whatever, those barrels are emptied, obviously, and that product is bottled and sold. And then those barrels are bought by or given to somebody that already owns them, a Scotch house or a bourbon house or whoever, and then they, take whiskey that was aged in that first cask and then finish it in those casks. And it imparts that sweetness and some of those flavors, and you do get a ton of stone fruit. So the peach and apricot is absolutely fucking there.
Yeah.
I think the extra proof on this being 92 really helps mellow the sweetness a little bit. It helps balance that sweetness a little bit. And then I absolutely get that kind of cinnamon toast crunch almost on the back end. And I do more cinnamon toast crunch than French toast because of the graininess of the barley. I feel like you're getting that kind of cracker almost in there rather than a soggy bread that was soaked in eggs.
So a few things. For me also, this has a little bit of that kind of honey to it. And also being a Highland, this isn't a Speyside. A lot of people mistake this as being a Speyside whiskey. It's not. It's a Highland. It's got a little more umph to it, a little more smoke to it. So that kind of really plays well with the sweetness of it as well. Glenmorangie was kind of the pioneers of not putting a number on their bottles back in the day. And now the whole industry has kind of turned that way. And then somehow they decide to turn the other way and go, now we're putting the numbers on there. So little confused by that as a whole. I can get why it's now just called the Nectar and why it's multiple barrels, because there's only, so much
Sauterne to go around.
And the cat's out of the bag on Sauterne. A lot of American whiskeys are using Sauterne a lot,
Oh, really?
Well, I mean, you think of Hill Rock, Whistle Pig, guys like that have been using Sauterne. It's a great fucking barrel. And what probably happened is they probably sold a few too many barrels and they don't have enough to be able to, go around with.
Right.
But I love it. What do you think, Mr. Graham?
It's delicious. I think it's a great little whiskey. I would love to go outside right now. It's like the perfect temperature for a fire.
Oh, yeah.
And just sit and drink the rest of this, but we sadly can't do that.
Yeah, no, we can't. And we have to save that for our Patreons.
That's why we can't do it.
And should somebody want to become a Patreon, Mr. Graham, how do they go about doing
Very
it?
easy, man. It's so simple. Just put the whiskey down for a second. It's www.patreon.com/DFootball Show. Sign up to that $1 tier. You get all of the extra contents. Injury Time was our preview show. You get sound check, our actual sound check. Sometimes you hear it, sometimes you don't, but you always get stories from our lives and shit that's fun. Hear how my kids have been tormenting me over the past week and how work has fucked me big time.
Sometimes
and you get to listen to Sam clipping his toenails and stuff,
Sometimes you get 2 sound checks with us talking with a Scotsman.
Yeah, there you go. You get that too.
You weren't here for.
No, I wasn't here for that because that's a different show. I own it, but yeah.
All right.
I own a third of it, but it's a different show.
Yeah, very good. All right. Well, I mean,
enough.
Hold on here. You own a third of it. Carry the 1 divided by 0.
Oh, I didn't say I got a return on it, but I own a third of it.
All righty. Let's have a great show, everybody. Cheers.
Cheers. Owning and a successful investment are two different things.
One would just say that about me in general.
I know Mel would.
Manchester was front and center as one had a chance to step into Champions League spot and the other had a chance to ruin a rival's hope of a title. Forest 1, Manchester City 0, Manchester United 1, Arsenal 1. People might not remember this because they think of the Nuno that was at Spurs for a very short period of time. While Nuno was at Wolverhampton, he got City a couple of times, and this game was an absolute blueprint of the Nuno masterclass on how to stop City.
Well, this is what Forest have been very good at all season, that the last 4 or 5 games they've gotten away from.
Right.
They reverted back to type, got back to basics, and did exactly what they were meant to do. They nobody low blocks like they do in the league. They are the best at that low block. And I wouldn't say they didn't go for it.
Oh, they had chances.
They were just, I think they had the better of the chances. Sells had to make 3 decent saves, one of those 3 being very, very good. everything else was routine and just dealt with by the Forest defense. City couldn't figure out how to break it out, where over the last 5 years, they have been the best team in the world at breaking down a low block.
Right, precisely.
But they just couldn't. They still just, what happened to them, I don't know. Just can't seem to fucking work it out all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Conversely, that played right into Forest's hands, and they got back to what they've been doing all season, and that was just soaking the pressure up and picking and choosing their moments and going on these raids. Now, when they go on a raid, they may have a solid 3 minutes down the field, then get pushed back, and all right, 12 minutes, 15 minutes, we're fucking dug in. We're stuck in here defensively.
Right.
Never once really looked out of sorts at all either. Arsenal did kind of the same thing. It seemed like, City wasn't spraying passes out trying to move the defense around. It's kind of hard to talk about one without the other because they were so slow in their build-up play. And it was one or two players, again, same thing in the Arsenal match, one or two fucking players that whenever they got the ball, took 4, 5, 6 touches, allowed the defense to reset, allowed, everything to kind of calm down, and all the space disappeared.
It felt like multiple times City were doing that bit that you see in basketball where the point guard stands at midcourt, letting the shot clock run down to get the final shot of the half. It seemed like they were just kind of sitting like about 30 yards out, just kind of waiting, but never actually making a drive to goal. And as you mentioned, only 3 shots on goal, and really only one of them troubled Sells, and he was there to make the save. The opportunities were certainly more Forest than they were City's.
Hudson-Odoi hit the post. You had Ederson made 2, I think, actually really, really good saves, necessary interventions. And then ended up getting done in his near post.
No, that's where I
late on in the game.
Where I wanted to go with that is you would mention Hudson-Odoi. You want to talk about somebody who got asked to be pulled out of his normal position where he's normally a little bit more used to being out wide. They dropped back an extra midfielder. He kind of sat just behind Chris Wood defensively. And if Chris Wood went after the ball, he went to the other open space. And if Chris Wood was kind of on an open space and it was where Odoi could go for the ball, he ran a lot.
He put in a fucking shift.
Awful lot.
He put in a fucking shift.
And he scored the goal, which is that's a great way to see somebody rewarded. But his overall work, and particularly his defensive work,
was huge.
And it was very thankless. It's not something you
typically get from a relatively flair player.
And also pretty much a winger, someone who wants to be on the outside. Yep. They kind of forced him to the middle. They forced Gibbs White deep. Gibbs White had a fucking phenomenal day.
He also had a couple of chances, even still. I mean, Forest could have won this game 3-4-0.
Murillo had a epic performance in the back, just kind of shutting down Holland.
A couple of great passes as well that really took the City defense, most of the City defense, out of a lot of play.
I mean, Holland was pretty much a non-factor.
Oh yeah,
for the most part. Now the goal, that's really
besides when Chris Wood spazzed out and almost gifted Holland a goal.
Yeah, no shit. The one thing is it's the goal, and Forest deserved to win this game. Ederson absolutely should have saved that. That is near post. You have to come away with that. He was cheating way too far to the far post. He just had something in his mind, I guess, that he's definitely going this way. He's definitely going this way. And he just reacted late. Yeah. He caught it clean enough and he was close enough that Ederson just couldn't get a hand to it. He ended up diving the right way and took a swing at it, but ultimately was nowhere near it. And the announcers were looking at it going, "Oh, did it take a touch? Maybe did it?" No. At the end of the day, after the third replay, they were like, "No, he just didn't do his job." It took a touch off of Ederson.
Yeah,
you should have fucking saved it. It hit your arm/hand area, right around the wrist area, and it was on your near post. How the fuck do you not put that wide? How do you not put that wide?
Somebody was talking about the other day. I can't remember what channel it was on. One of the pundits. Was talking about Alisson's performance in the Champions League against PSG, And it's not only was he making the save, because it's one thing to make the save, right? It's, getting there, a great reaction, blah, blah, blah. But how many times do we see a save and the follow-up gets put in?
Precisely.
We saw in the Arsenal game, we saw a couple of double saves from David Raya. We saw a couple of double saves. Was it Olsen at Villa had a double save at one stage, I think. There was a few. Vicario had a couple of saves in the Spurs Bournemouth game that were excellent. What Allison always tends to do, I actually think it was the CBS guys talking to him, Micah Richards or Jamie Carragher. What he not only does he make the save, but he pushes the ball out of the danger zone.
Right.
It's away from the middle of the goal no matter what he does. Right. He doesn't give up that second chance rebound, which is huge. That is it's almost like making a double save anyway.
Right.
Having that kind of clarity, and the defense knows this ball's not dropping at the edge of the 6. This ball's going to be over towards the corner. It's going to be, up towards the penalty spot, beyond this first wave of attackers that are here, and they can react accordingly.
Right.
It's such a confidence boost, right? And to turn around and see Ederson, who, with Allison over the last 5 years or so, and you've had a person here or there that has come in and done something like David Raya last season, for instance, or, Nick Pope, when Newcastle started being good again, that has this kind of breakout year or whatever. But those two over the last 5 years have been the best goalkeepers in the league. Just reaction saves, distribution with their feet, just fucking all around goalkeeping. They're the two best goalkeepers in the league, hands fucking down.
I would make an argument for Pickford.
I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to disrespect Pickford.
Right.
But the fortunes of the teams are very different, obviously, and
of
that
course
plays into it. But it's also not necessarily Pickford's fault.
When he gives up goals,
the dam will break under pressure eventually. As cliche as that is,
keep it rolling.
But to see Ederson this season play as poorly as he has, and this is the kind of peak of that, given this goal up here near post in that manner, it's just like, what are you doing? Just what happened to you?
Right.
It's just it's such a microcosm of City's entire season to have this fall from grace as he's had this year. And it's ugly. I just didn't care for it.
I have one more thing I want to say about Forest, and then I want to move on to United and Arsenal. For Forest, if you're going to make the Champions League, this is one of those games you have to win. It's in your building, and they fucking did it.
Yep.
They fucking did
and
it.
I think this spurs them on the rest of the season. I honestly do. I think they take a ton of confidence from this, and that last little 4, 5, 6 game slump they were on, this last little run, I think they put that in the rearview mirror, and they keep grinding out results like this.
I think Forest is going to finish closer to Arsenal than they are to 5th.
Yep.
I really do think that is the case. All Gunners. It was all Gunners in the first half.
First half, yes.
All Gunners. And still couldn't get any goals. After putting up fucking 7 in the middle of the week.
Still think, that was a fucking false dawn, wasn't it?
You were playing a Dutch team. Prone to giving up goals.
Yeah. And our defense is very good.
Yeah.
This game frustrated me so much. Anybody that still thinks 60 million was too much for Kai Havertz is a fucking knobhead.
Right.
Even if he's not a true center forward, he balances our team way more than anybody else we have currently.
There would have been some goals before that free kick for Fernandez. He would have been up 2-0 already.
Absolutely. And we should have been. Yeah. And we should have scored after that. Now, that being said, we again fell into this trap of leaving ourselves too exposed. Right? We did this, lull them into a sleep, but it also lulled our center backs into a sleep. And they just kept drifting and drifting forward and drifting forward and drifting forward, and opened a space up behind, which United exploited well. And they did, as they've tended to do this season, games against the other traditional Big Six, they upped their game for in their decent games. Yep. Right?
It seems it's almost like those players are shopping themselves to the other Big Six clubs.
Exactly right. Yeah, they know there's going to be sales this summer. There has to be.
Oh, yeah.
Trossard, unfortunate foul. I understand why he did it. It just kind of sucks on the edge of the box right before halftime. Obviously, Fernandez scores that free kick. Little issue with the placement of the ball. there, especially with what happened earlier in the day.
Well, later in the day too. Everton had a free kick that they tried to move back about a half a yard, and the ref told them to move it back up forward again, where Bruno moved it back like a whole foot and a half.
A little more than that. The wall was 11.6 meters away, I think it was, at the end of the day.
It's supposed to be
which is
10.
3.5 feet more than it's meant to be.
And it was exactly enough to go. That ball went just over the wall.
Just
and
over
down.
Marino's head. Yep.
And it's the reason why a referee puts down a line for where the ball is supposed to be kicked and for where the wall is supposed to stand.
Yep.
And he got him, you know?
It absolutely got us, which is terribly unfortunate. I do kind of question David Raya's positioning on that as well. I think he was a little bit cheating too far to that far post
Yeah.
In that situation. But, we've been there before. We all said it in the build-up, all joked around about it all week long. We knew we were going to go behind the United because we always go behind the United.
Right, just what you do.
They just had something in there. Now,
second half, you kept up the intensity that you had in the first half.
Yeah,
You
but
came out firing.
But United had more chances in the second half, which is worrisome. Now, that being said, we were chasing the game.
I was going to say that's where for me, it was you guys came out swinging. You got the equalizer, and then you totally took the foot off the gas, and United took the fuck over after you scored. It was all United.
That's true to an extent. I think it still could have finished 3-3. You think at Trossard's chance in the first half, he should have scored. That just got his studs to the ball. But Onana made a phenomenal save. Near post on the top corner, and then turned around and Martin Odegaard was teed up brilliantly by Trossard and just couldn't find the power to guide it into that far post. Those two chances in particular, I think are we just rude completely. Those two situations, and then you turn around. Obviously, David Raya makes the double save 2 times.
That's yep.
Just brilliant goalkeeping, just absolutely fantastic.
Højlund comes in, and even with just wide open opportunities, can't score. Declan Rice has that incredible slide tackle off of his foot where it's dead to rights. Højlund should have put that in the back of the net.
Oh yeah, but it's also I think too with Højlund. I think that's 20. Was it 21 in the league straight without scoring?
Yep.
Garnacho, I think, is at 19 or something like that.
Yep. Had an assist. He got the foul that got the.
Technically. Yeah. I don't think it's a real assist. I think it's just a fantasy football assist.
I know because it was on my bench and I lost this week. 13 points on my bench and I lost this week.
Nice.
Yeah.
But it's just one of those things, you know. I don't know. It's frustrating to say the least. I think we expended a lot of energy in the Champions League. I think we're kind of, we know we're better than City. We know we'll get over the line in terms of automatic qualification for Champions League. We're better than Forest. We know that.
You're pot committed to try to win the Champions League.
Saka is going to be coming back soon. But as we said last week on the show, it's I think the league is pretty much done. Again, even though it's mathematically possible, in reality, the eye test is showing that it's not.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So I think it's one of those, we have an open PSV team, you know, that showed us a bit of the door, and we ended up kicking the door down.
Right.
And I think we're going to, even though we have to go through Real Madrid next round potentially, or Atletico.
Honestly, of the two, you'd probably rather Real because Atletico
at least they'll be open.
Really shut it down.
At least they'll be open.
Right.
You know, we get Saka back from injury. We've got a couple things on the horizon here that may be helping out. You know, not to say that it's a weird basket to put all your eggs in, but I think we're going to be a bit more focused, if that makes sense, on the Champions League rather than the league. Because I think Liverpool's a step too far now. And I think we're so much better than the teams behind us at the moment that there's no realistic way we're not finishing in second.
I do have to say, that's an awful lot of words for a description that just is written as ugh.
It's all up here, brother.
It's all up there.
It's all up here.
We turn our attention back to the chase for Europe with a late winner, another just holding on, and a final giving away 3 points while being in complete control. Brighton 2, Fulham 1, Villa 1, Brentford 0, Bournemouth 2, Spurs 2. Jimenez is back to scoring again, which is great for Fulham.
Missed a good chance late in the game as well.
Yeah, the problem is just some bad defense and mistakes, and they just kind of let Brighton back into the game.
Well, that's just it. It took a while to get going this game properly in the first place. It needed a goal, and it was a great goal that it finally did get from Raul Jimenez. It's a very good take, a very good. Go back to the beginning of your point. Okay. The game took a while to properly get going, at all. You know what I'm saying? But once it did, it did. It needed a goal bad, and it finally did get one from Raul Jimenez. And it.
We'll be all right. Keep it rolling.
It finally did get going through Raul Jimenez. Obviously, a phenomenal counterattack by Alex Iwobi, 60-yard or so run right down the right hand side, rode a tackle in that run, and then no one else really got close to him. Put in a good early cross. Jimenez ended up with a sweet piece of control, very clearly on his chest, and then a great finish. Yeah. That woke Brighton up, though, is the thing. Fulham had another about 5 minutes or so where they had some chances and really could have killed the game off, but the quality wasn't there to finish those chances. And then just a total of 6 minutes later, Brighton went, oh, shit, we got to get ourselves back into this. And they did, equalizing through Van Hecker with a great header.
Let's leave a really tall fucker wide the fuck open inside the box for a free header on a free kick.
Not even pay attention to him.
Yes, you still got to finish it, and it was a good header by him, but that is one that if I'm the keeper, that's one where I'm just looking at you guys going, boys, like,
what are you guys doing?
You gotta, but it was cover him.
It was a lovely header, though.
Oh, it was a great header.
Had great shape on it. It was a good looking header. Kissed off the inside of the post as well.
It was coming in slow, and the ball was about 10 feet wide, and he's just like licking his chops as he's jumping in the air. I mean, he was able to do like a perfect Ronaldo, just be like because nobody was gonna cover him.
Exactly, but then, and this is where Fulham fell short. Brighton's at home, obviously. Fulham were the away team in this game, equalizing just before halftime. That momentum pendulum that swings swung so far in Brighton's favor that Fulham failed to register a shot on target for the rest of the game.
Yep, and Brighton had a lot of chances. And
ultimately, they weathered that storm, though.
Right,
and it became a very unlucky for Harrison Reed.
That's what I wanted to get to.
But obviously it was a penalty in stoppage time in which Brighton, João Pedro won and buried the penalty to win the game.
We've seen players get red cards for this. We've seen penalties called for this all the time. I hate this foul.
It sucks.
Because the person is
foul, but
looking down at the ball, kicking the ball, and the other player just kind of runs in and throws their leg there just to get kicked. And it's like, I hate that rule.
And this even more so.
That rule.
Even more so, he stole between two players. So like he sandwiched himself.
Yeah.
With no chance of really getting the ball.
Yeah.
And just ended up getting kicked in the back of the leg.
You see this at least 4 or 5 times a year. And
it sucks.
Every
it's so fucking
single
annoying.
time. I hate it.
Well, as a defender, I get very annoyed by this. It's like, what am I meant to do?
Because you're not trying to maliciously foul them. You're not trying to trip them. If anything, they're trying to trip themselves. Like, that's what they're trying to do, and it drives me nuts. But I would also say Brighton probably the deserving side, to be quite honest. They probably, at the end of the day,
Well, because of
after
the lack
weathering
of
the
impetus
storm.
from Fulham in the second
deserved it more.
half.
Yeah.
Absolutely, they did. 100%.
Yeah,
Agree.
I feel like they absolutely deserved it more. Moving on, Villa tried to give it up early a few times. Like they were sloppy as hell in the back. To
There's a
start the
few
match.
scary moments in the opening 10 minutes. Mel, did you watch the game? How'd it make you feel that opening 10 minutes?
Oh,
You're a little nervous?
watching McGinn decide. Yeah, inside the 6 is a good place to dribble the ball right in the center of the goal. Yeah, you know what? You know how Maradona scored his goal. He dribbled through 10 guys. Time for me to start right here.
Yeah. Bro, I almost had a heart attack. Watch. I was like, why are you doing that?
What are you
Stop.
doing?
It's like, what is wrong with y'all? It was very, very fucking funny.
But it did seem like Villa got themselves into it, though.
Well, yeah,
finally.
Brentford couldn't take advantage, obviously,
Right.
and that's the thing, and that like when Villa has that aha moment where they go, "Hey, stop fucking around," they grow into the game properly and had created some decent chances and started pinning Brentford back a bit, you know.
Yeah. I got to say, Mel, the Loney Diassi has been very, very good in the
And
back.
that Disasi from
Disasi,
Chelsea,
yes.
The ass man?
Yeah. No, that's Asensio.
Assasiasi.
no, Ass Man
Diassi.
was Devin.
Diassi.
No, was
The defender
Douglas
that
Luiz.
starts with a D. Yes, Douglas Luiz.
Degrassi?
he's the Ass
Yes,
Man.
Degrassi, exactly. Degrassi, show title right there.
Drake.
Degrassi.
Yeah,
Degrassi.
he defends in A minor.
He
Allegedly.
had a very, very good, very aggressive game and got away with a lot. Because I've seen a lot of a lot of those fouls he's done. I've seen called penalties and been soft penalties, but
He gets away with a fair amount.
There was like 3 that he could have been called for at any time.
For sure.
He still had a great game. He was all over the place, and he really hunkered down the defense,
he defended very well for a majority of the game.
but whoo,
He had some moments.
yeah, he was
A couple
he
frogs
was
in
a
people's
little
throats.
close.
Yeah.
Nice for Watkins to score again, but then Watkins keeps doing what he's been doing all season. He'll be like, he'll score 1, and
I
then
I just thought of an injury time joke. I have to tell.
and then you just start wondering what the fuck he's doing out there when he's missing like easy opportunities. It's just like, fuck, dude, come on, man. Where's like, he should easily be on like 24, 25 goals right now.
Yeah.
He really should be.
Yeah. So sharing time, obviously, with what's his name earlier in the season,
Duran.
with Duran, who's now gone, right? But he just hasn't seemed to be able to get going, and part of it seems deliberate, either Unai Emery's instructions or Ollie Watkins taking it on himself. He himself, I haven't seen him be as adventurous as I've seen him over the last few seasons, and I think that's. We're making it through the Champions League. Mm-hmm. We come to this stage, right? And we see this in weeks where there's a Champions League game. Villa are underwhelming at the weekend,
Yeah.
right? Versus when they have a midweek off, they come out and play like the Villa we've seen in the last 2 years. And I think part of it is him trying to conserve energy, where earlier in the season it was they didn't give him enough time.
Right.
Because Unai Emery got squirrely and said, okay, 65 minutes, fucking Duran's coming in.
Right.
And Ollie Watkins wasn't able to find that last run. Because what you notice, too, is as those defenses started to tire, you introduce those fresh legs. Duran, more often than not, would be the best 12th man in the Premier League.
Right.
Earlier this season.
Right, because they were tired and he was getting opportunities. To
Exactly.
score.
He would come up. I think Ollie Watkins probably could have done the same thing had he been given 10 more minutes.
Right.
Those opportunities, he's still good at those opportunities. I just think he was holding himself back, and a combination of his manager also holding him back as well.
Well, Mel, you do have to be happy about one thing, and Sam kind of hinted at it, was the midweek Champions League and then having a bad weekend. Mm-hmm. You finally fucking won one after winning Champions League in the midweek, because this entire season, it's always been a loss or a draw. So this was the very first time you got to win.
It's nice, and it's not. Boy, it's not for lack of them trying. We had some problems on defense. Let's say Emmy was missed a lot, and was it Bailey that tried to move the ball for his kick?
Mm-hmm. He tried to do it too. Multiple people.
Put his little butt towards the ref, like, you don't see what I'm
Yeah,
doing.
a bunch of cheaters, man.
Yeah, but
So
the only one they didn't care about was Bruno. It was like, go ahead and let Bruno do it.
of
He's a
course.
cunt.
That's how it goes. What I do enjoy, though, in this with Villa is, as you said earlier in the season, it was always a loss or a draw. I remember more draws than losses following Champions League games this season. It may just be a bias towards wanting them to do okay because it's not Liverpool, United, or City.
Right, of course.
So kind of wanting Villa to be in those positions rather than those other few clubs.
Right.
But if you look at what Newcastle did in their Champions League season versus what Villa's doing right now, right? Newcastle now arguably had way more injuries that season, but there were way more losses following Champions League games.
Oh, yeah.
They put everything into the Champions League.
Yeah.
Where I think Unai Emery has
And in
managed
advance.
where I think Unai Emery has managed this very, very well. Talk about Everton's survival over the last few seasons. You come in bemoaning some of those draws, occasionally. We really had a chance to win. It's like, hey, it's a point on the board.
A point's a point.
But the teams around you are not putting a point on the board.
Yeah, exactly.
And here you've got Fulham dropping points. You've got, Spurs and Bournemouth dropping points. You've got Southampton, doesn't matter. You've got Palace. No, they won. Chelsea and Leicester was close. You're looking at some of these teams that are going to be fighting with you. City obviously losing. You're looking at some of these teams fighting with you in this area of the table, and those points that they picked up are going to matter. Those draws they picked up early in the season are going to matter. And I think Unai Emery has done a brilliant job of managing that workload and picking up points where they can,
Right.
and then also progressing in the other competitions.
I feel like the other thing there, too, is with both Fulham and Brentford losing, I think they're going to start to slowly slide out of the European discussion. They feel like the 9th and 10th place teams to me, where Newcastle and Villa kind of have the pedigree to be there already. We already know that Chelsea's sticking around and City's sticking around. And then Brighton is the one in the best form, right? So I kind of feel like Fulham and Brentford are going to start to slide back out of the contention. They're going to be perfectly
Safe and
10th,
good. Right.
And that
And Palace as well have been on a bit of a charge.
Yeah.
I don't think they'll be able to get the job over the line.
right. But it's also 9th place might be in Europe next year.
Well,
really,
again,
all
yeah.
depending. So,
You have to imagine either Spurs or United have a very good chance of winning the Europa League, right? You have to imagine Chelsea or shoe-ins for the Conference League. And that opens up their league positions to European competition because they will automatically qualify as the tournament's winner
Precisely.
for the Champions League and then Europa League, respectfully.
Exactly.
Depending
So suddenly
on
you
what
have
they
5
win.
teams going to Champions League.
Say Champions League does get down to the 5th spot again because somebody wins the FA Cup or whatever, or no, whatever. You know what I'm talking about. You end up with Chelsea's spot in the Europa League also being an English team, so it could get realistically down to 9th.
Absolutely.
As you say.
Yeah.
So it's going to be an interesting end of the season in terms of European discussion because a lot of those teams are gummed up right in that sort of area, and a lot of them are on decent form. But like again, I said it about Fulham last week. They can't seem to get up for the games that they're supposed to be winning or supposed to be at least drawing and giving a good account of themselves. They're just not even doing that.
Right.
So it's, we saw that first half where they had that 9-minute spell where they were fucking phenomenal. Outside of that, they didn't really do much in the game.
And finally, let's do the Cherries here. They have 20% less possession than Tottenham, yet double them with shots on goal, with 8 shots on goal for the Cherries and 4 shots on goal for Tottenham.
Yeah, the part that I would still can't work out from Ange is he said, number one, in the same week as conceding 2 set pieces against Arsenal, says that they have no plans to practice set piece defending. He still cannot break his tactic of just throwing everything forward and caution to the wind.
Yeah.
Because Kirkesh, much like Iwobi, except for he didn't have to ride that one tackle. Kirkes ran 70 yards instead of 60 and did it without a Tottenham player being more than 10 yards within his person. From the moment he intercepted it, somebody was about 8 yards away.
Yeah.
After that, nobody was within 10 yards of him until he crossed the ball.
Yep.
It was absolutely pitiful defending. And that's what happens when Pedro Porro is 5 yards in front of Sarr and Madison.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
Why is your right back so advanced while you're holding possession 30 yards from goal? It doesn't make sense.
No.
And it was a very easy interception that Kirkes had on the edge of the 18, and he just went on a full fucking sprint, and no one cared to chase him.
And they had a bunch of those in the second half, too. They had the one that got called back for offsides on Kluivert. Like,
Yep.
by
On
the time,
Semenyo.
Yeah.
He was coming back from the offside position on the left-hand side. It was a
Kluivert
brilliant
was the one
fucking
who
football,
scored.
though.
Kluivert's the one who scored, and it got called back.
Brilliant fucking football, though, to get down the field. But, yeah, you're right. He was offside.
And they go up 2-0, and they promptly give it away. By the way, that was not a shot by Sarr. That was absolutely a fucking cross that went into the back
I'm
of the
sure.
net. It was hands down across.
It's not even that. We're talking about Bournemouth being 2-0 up, despite Christian Romero trying to gift them a 2-0 lead in the first 4 minutes.
Right. Like, this game should have been 4 or 5-0. The Cherries should have wiped the fucking floor with Spurs.
Big time.
They really should have.
Listen, I understand some rust. I'm not a professional athlete, right? I played at a decent level, and I played for a long time. And I've been out injured, and I've come back. I've not been that rusty.
Yeah.
That was bad.
Yeah, it was very bad.
Those opening 4 minutes, Christian Romero was back in his academy days. That was pitiful.
And here's the worst one. They have them dead to rights. They have opportunities to beat them. And then Kepa, who's had a really good year. He really has, considering that
So what happens when you actually listen to your coach?
completely on the outs with Chelsea, and has kind of resurrected himself, doing a really good job at Bournemouth. That was so fucking boneheaded. You don't need, like, we talked about this before because this happened a few weeks ago with another keeper. If you're not going to get your hands on it, don't fucking come out and go for it. Don't. Because if you get your hands on it and you make contact with the striker, you're going to get away with it. They're not going to call a penalty because they're going to say you got your hands on it. But if you're not going to get your hands to it, don't fucking do it.
Right.
You're better suited to slow up, make yourself big, get a little wide, and maybe go after them once they start to bring the ball down. But this kind of 50-50 ball, like, just don't do it. And it was, again, this is a game the Cherries should have won.
You're absolutely right.
And it's just massive mistakes like that led to it.
Vicario stood on his head, though. I mean, he had a couple of fucking brilliant saves, no less, 2 or 3 of them in the first 4 or 5 minutes of the game. He continued that fine form later on, because the Cherries did find the impetus again. After a while, and pushed. And he had a couple of more very good saves. Saves, dare I say, that I believe Ederson should have been making in the Forest game. For instance. And it just seems like they're a totally different team, Spurs, when these defenders are fit and when Vicario's fit. But it's Ange's tactics that are holding them back. And that's a problem.
Rounding out the rest of the league, so that happened. Liverpool 3, Southampton 1, Palace 1, Ipswich 0, Everton 1, Wolves 1, Chelsea 1, Leicester 0, Newcastle 1, West Ham 0. That is a whole lot of Oso right there in those scores.
Bro. there isn't much to talk about in any of these games for real.
Well, here's the thing. Even with going behind, you never felt like that game was in doubt. You knew Liverpool was gonna win. You knew Liverpool was gonna get it.
Southampton can't hold their nerve, and so here's exactly this is probably the last time I'll be able to say it this season. I'll just read you exactly what I wrote. Southampton, to their credit, started okay. Liverpool ended up dominating the chances and play in the first half, but the Saints actually dealt with it well and even took the lead just before halftime. But the second half saw them revert to type. First, giving Diaz the byline, which was ridiculous defending. And then a pullback for Nunez, who all of a sudden is Captain Composure rather than Captain Chaos. Right. What a fucking finish that was.
By the way, he could have been sent off. I think he got the yellow for it. I think it could have been a red.
All right.
Because it was, he really kind of just, the spikes weren't up, and that's why he ultimately just got the yellow.
But this is why you do things like run into the stands and punch fans.
Swung his leg right through him.
Yeah. But this is why you run into the stands and fight fans once in your career.
Because then everybody goes,
the referee goes, oh, he might fucking take me out.
he might choke me.
This guy's nuts. That's exactly why you do that, 100%. Just 3 minutes after that, Southampton give up a penalty.
Yep.
And I agree that it was a penalty as well. It absolutely was a penalty.
Yep.
Salah dispatched that well. Ramsdale had no real chance at that. Obviously diving in the wrong direction. And then a blatant handball for a second penalty just before the 90 minutes. It's just a complete implosion and a revert to we're a lower league team from Southampton. Yeah. They took the lead at fucking Anfield. And then after halftime, 6 minutes it took let's do the total. 9 minutes it took them to be 2-1 down into the second half. 9 fucking minutes for them to piss away all of the good hard work that they did in the first half.
Yeah.
Now, and what are you going to do?
And it's
just absurd. I'm already annoyed that they gave up a goal that close to halftime because you just fuck your manager. Just fuck what he has to say.
Right.
We're going to do what we want, and what we want to do is suck. Right?
Yeah.
But to do it twice within 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Fuck off.
Yeah.
Fuck off. I wouldn't start a single one of them defenders next game. You know what? I'd play a 16-year-old back line, average age. These cunts, they want it. I'd send the message. I've said this about United a couple of times this season. I've said it about a few other clubs. Leicester, I believe I said it about. Fucking play the academy kids. You're going to go out and essentially have a 3-0 loss in your head as the best result you could possibly get when you go to play the game. Then fucking don't play it.
Yep.
Put some people on the pitch that care. Fuck them if they're kids. Who gives a shit?
Here's an opportunity for Ipswich to put a little bit of pressure on Wolves. Wolves play way later in the day, so they're going to know what this scoreline is.
And without Cunha.
Yeah.
Specifically.
Yeah. They know what this scoreline's going to be, right? And they're playing a pretty hot team, a team that ain't lost in a minute, right? And
form team in the league.
Right. And what do? Go out and lose to, now Palace has other pieces, but go out and lose to a team that just lost their primary goal scorer in a very dramatic way.
Yeah.
And
well, not even just that.
By the way, he got 6 games for that, the keeper.
Oh, good.
The keeper got 6 games.
The first chance of this game was Palmer, the Ipswich goalkeeper, fucking up big time. Eddie Nketiah closed him down rapidly, to his credit, but he just carooned it off luckily it just nicked his knee and ended up still advancing down the field, but very easily could have been a fucking goal.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
It was a pitiful clearance. It took him way too long to get it out from under his feet. I don't know what he's doing.
Dare one say Muric-like.
Oh, worse than that. It's stupid. It was fucking stupid. And then Palace, it was a fairly open game for a while, right? But you never really thought that Ipswich was going to do anything. They didn't really threaten properly. That final pass, the final action, always fell short of the mark, and it just wasn't good. Palace, on the other hand, looked dangerous.
Yeah, they just didn't score goals.
They just couldn't finish anything.
Right.
But they looked dangerous. They gave Ipswich something to think about at every opportunity. And finally, Ismail Assar gets the goal of the weekend for me. Really.
Gorgeous goal.
It was a fucking phenomenal finish. And this was after And he did very well. This is why, like Landon Donovan in that commercial say you got to have a memory like a goldfish.
Right.
You got to just put your fuck ups out of your mind and stay confident and stay, I got this, right? Because the chance he had earlier in the game, Ismail Assar, was so much easier than the one that he actually put away. And that one he screwed well wide to the point where he could have been like, hey, boss, sub me. I don't have it today.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was that bad.
Oh, it was that bad.
It was pitiful. I'd be very disappointed in myself.
And for Palace, you know what? This is another win. You're moving up the table. You're going to be clearly safe. There's a chance at maybe finishing top half again, getting up to 10th place.
There's a chance the way some of the teams are going above, you know, Bournemouth have had a couple of tough results. You had the Forest, little bit of a slide. Not that they'd get up that high, but these are teams they're
Brentford,
chasing.
Fulham, there's opportunity.
There's opportunities to overtake some of these teams.
Inconsistencies in Villa. Yeah, there's those things. So, yeah, they're doing...
And Palace are 5 out of 6, I think.
Yep, exactly.
As well. They're the second form team in the league behind Everton.
So on the Whole Lot of Wolves podcast, I called it. I called exactly what the starting lineup was going to be. I called exactly what the substitutes were going to be. I called that it would be a terribly drab affair. And I called that it was going to be 1-0 or 1-1. It was finished 1-1. And I've heard a lot of people bitching about them showing Cunha like it was Taylor Swift in the stands. Here's a thought. Give them something else to fucking talk about! I don't know. Do something. Like, it was a drab game, and Wolves needed a point. Wolves got a point. If they had Cunha, they probably would have beat us. It was not a good game.
No, and Wolves without Cunha is a very different to Wolves with Cunha.
Oh, because it all goes through Cunha.
But
100%
for the first,
of their offense goes
the
through
first, 18, 20 minutes was all Everton.
Oh, yeah.
But Everton lacked the subsequent quality to finish anything. Beto should have scored as well and outright won the game on 71 minutes.
Yep.
But Everton should have been in front probably 3 different times before they actually did go in front on 33 minutes. When they finally did score their goal through Jack Harrison, who I can't remember, and maybe this is just me neglecting Leeds' time in the Premier League because y'all like him. I don't really care for Gecko that much, to be honest. Just kidding. But I feel like Jack Harrison hasn't scored since he was with NYCFC.
Yeah, he scored a couple last year with Everton, but only like a couple.
I can't remember any of it. Like it's just out of my mind because it happens so infrequently.
Right.
So he's took a deflection as well. I mean, it needed help.
Yeah.
But he obviously got Everton going. I just think Beto could have scored earlier than that. There was Decore should have scored at one point as well. Everton had loads of chances to win this fucking game, and they just didn't take them.
Yeah.
And that Beto, I missed out. I had a $5 bet to pay me 85 in change, and the only thing that missed was Beto to score or assist.
That was it, huh?
Yeah, that was the only thing that missed. And that Alcaraz counterattack, where he played Beto in on the left. And, I mean, without writing a greeting card prior to the game to leave in the goalkeeper's locker, in Jose Sa's locker, that said, hey, if I run 3 yards wide of the goal and then shape my left shoulder directly at your chest, I'm probably going to go far post.
Right.
Without exactly telling him that, I don't think you could have telegraphed it any more than he did.
Right. No, he did. He knew, Sa knew, and it was easy for him to get to.
It was very easy to get to.
Yeah.
He did not strike it well, but his entire body shape in the build-up was, that's what he's doing. Yeah. And he left nothing to be desired in terms of mystery.
Just the constant shout out every week for Idrissa Gana, who is 35 years old. It's Ramadan, and he somehow yet again is fucking everywhere.
Yeah. At his age as well.
Everywhere.
Dude's got a lot of miles on the clock. Is he 33, 34 or something? 35.
35 years old.
And he also has a lot of miles on the clock anyway. A lot of hard yards as well. A lot of crunching tackles. A lot of, he's played that position.
Midfielder. He's put in some minutes.
For him to be honoring Ramadan
Yeah.
and doing the fasting and all that stuff to be able to play is just amazing in and of itself.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yep.
to then put the numbers up running wise and ground covered and all that kind of stuff is just absolutely remarkable.
And with the injuries, he's kind of forced to play right now. Like normally, if Mangala was healthy, he'd probably get a game or two off or get to come in as a sub and not have to play a whole match. And he still just keeps doing it every week.
The other thing, I mean, we saw this a couple of times last season, I think, where there were late games where they took a courtesy 2-minute like water break style you'd see in the MLS in the summer and allowed the Muslim players to take a couple of bites of food on the sideline when the sun set below the horizon.
Right.
This game is in the middle of fucking day.
Yeah.
So there's none of that.
No, it was 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
Oh,
so
this was the 8 o'clock game. You're right. This was the 8 o'clock game. You're
so
right.
they had a chance to eat and everything.
I
but
forgot
still,
why they put y'all fucking
because
prime time.
there wouldn't be a fucking riot. Because there wouldn't be two people drinking at the pub all day. They wouldn't fight each other.
Because nobody fucking cared.
Unless there's a cat. And then if there's a black cat, fucking shit's going to pop.
That's only if it happens with West Ham.
If that was... No, it was against Wolves when the black cat happened.
I'm talking about Kurt Zuma.
Oh, yeah, heard. Very good. Woo! Meow.
That's what the cat said. It sounded like...
Or the title of the show could be What Does the Cat Say? Anyways...
Meow, 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 meow.
So,
meow, 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 meow.
if this was a drab affair, these last two deserve even less talking time because these... the only thing I could really say about Chelsea is they legitimately tried their damnedest to give it away. They really did. They tried as hard as they could to not win this game. And Leicester are that fucking bad that Chelsea figured out a way to win.
Bro, I think Wout Face may have just headed himself into being a better player. Because after that injury, he looked like a decent footballer. He looked like he knocked the bullshit out of him.
Yeah. Love it.
Fucking idiot. What a jackass. I hate him. It's my least favorite player in the Premier League. Wout Face.
Palmer's penalty streak comes to an end of 12
I was
consecutive.
just about to say that. The real talking point is Cole Palmer missed a penalty.
Yeah.
Not missed it, had it saved.
Yeah,
it was still on target, but it was not a good penalty at all.
But it also wasn't a terrible penalty. It wasn't like the
It was
softest
to the corner, but he
moving
could have hit it harder.
Yeah,
I mean,
he-
that was...
I would have said you put it about a foot higher in the air and
Give the
Hermanson
goalkeeper
doesn't
something
get-
to think about. Yeah.
It was just he went right along the ground and got to it. Now, yeah, you still got to do it, which was a good save on him. But yeah, I mean, Chelsea feels like to me a team that's just not going to ultimately be in a Champions League spot because they can't figure out a way to do things definitively. Like this should have been a definitive win.
Yeah,
And
easily
there's
at
gonna
home
be-
as well.
And there's going to be teams better than them, than Leicester, that will make them pay for that.
The other thing I want to bring to the table is a correction from because of new information from early on in our career as broadcasters.
Right.
A few seasons ago, where we dubbed David Luiz while he was playing for both Chelsea and Arsenal as Sideshow Bob.
It's Fat Face.
No. La Cucurella.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Cucurella is fucking Sideshow Bob.
He's now Sideshow
hands
Bob.
down.
I gotcha.
mean, the run up, especially when they showed the goal from the behind Cucurella angle of the replay, the way the hair's bouncing around, it's Sideshow Bob.
Very good.
It's definitely Sideshow Bob. But I did also I'd done it once before. I want to bring it back to the table. La Cucurella, La Cucurella, beady 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 beady.
Mel just gave him the look, and you know what? Justified, Mel. You're good. The head shake, all of it. Very justified. Great to see Antonio at
At the stadium, yeah.
stadium today.
Looking fucking fly as well.
Yeah.
I like the outfit.
Looking good.
Yeah, sweet.
And that was great to see. This was a pretty cagey match and a really sneaky goal by Bruno. Like I feel like West Ham was waiting to be bailed out on it, and it was just Guimaraes was really smart about the way he timed his run and just poked it in, and for Newcastle, that's all they needed. They can see that out.
Yeah. During the summer, we have this a lot in Maryland. During the summer, we'll have the threat of a pop-up shower
Right.
or a pop-up thunderstorm.
Right.
That randomly when these pockets of weather hit the bay, they all of a sudden gain strength and boom, you get fucked out of nowhere.
Right.
Right. It's a perfectly good day, and then you get absolutely butt raped. Guimaraes found the space that those clouds find over the bay to get that strength.
That's it.
He found that little pocket where West Ham didn't know he existed all of a sudden. And like, oh, I love this day. Let's have a picnic. And then you've got a nor'easter.
Yep. And just
out of
boom, back on
nowhere.
that.
Yeah. And that's exactly what fucking happened. Other than that, the game was boring. You could tell Newcastle has Sunday on their mind. You could tell by their substitution patterns. You could tell by a bunch of things that they have Sunday on their mind big time.
Yep.
Their energy levels weren't great. Their kind of ambition in the game wasn't great. I didn't find them desiring to win
Right.
based on this performance. West Ham, I thought, had the better of the play, better of the chances overall, but ultimately, besides the one Kudus shot, didn't really trouble Nick Pope that much. That just devoid of the requisite quality to get the job done. And Newcastle, again, just bide our time, no injuries, bang, goal. Fucking sweet. I think they would have been chuffed to get out with a 0-0 draw. They ended up getting a goal, luckily.
Graham, I think you underestimate that West Ham also had something on their mind as well. The Moiseola Derby.
Sure money.
It's been a rough year for me, and that continues.
Terrible with money.
I actually got a lot of stuff right, and the two things I got wrong should have been right. But Villa couldn't get the job
Not
done.
good gambling.
Villa couldn't get the job done. But it was already dead by the time Villa took the field because of the other game that I didn't get correct.
Yep.
So I'm down 2,600 schmackaroonies. Sammy, how are you doing?
I got everything right except for your fucking team. All you could had to do was just beat United, and I would have hit my bet, dick.
Hard.
Yeah. But I am still up $1,213.
Big Sam's Lock of the Week.
Did you know that 30.7692308% of the time works 100% of the time, Mr. Graham?
It's a ridiculous number.
Which is more than yours.
Nobody cares.
Well, yours is, let's see here.
0.
0, carry the 1, times it by 0, divided by 0. That's what it is.
You can't divide by 0.
Oh,
It's
well,
impossible.
it's actually a negative. It's a negative.
XG.
Yeah. Terrible.
XM, expected money. Negative 2,000.
I am going with a very simple 2-leg parlay. I'm going to take Bournemouth over Brentford and Forest over Ipswich for plus 240.
Nice. Good. I did a lot of safe stuff.
9-way parlay.
It's only 6, but it's a lot of safe stuff. Brighton or draw with City at the Etihad. Safe. Forest to win away at Ipswich. Safe. Wolves or draw away at Southampton. Without Cunha, don't know if the voucher's going to be legal. They may have to work for it. So I did Wolves or draw. Everton or draw with West Ham at Goodison.
I like that.
Bournemouth or draw with Brentford. Because Bournemouth has been hit or miss
Right.
lately. And then under 3.5 at Arsenal Chelsea because neither team can seem to buy a goal properly in the league. So I think that is something that could come in. That got me plus 1,087 smackaroonies to about 40% my debt down.
So what's safe? Like just the pinky? Is that what safe is? You said you were making it safe.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's going to wrap it up, boys and girls. Mr. Graham, any parting words?
There are some parting words, very briefly, because it is obviously the Monday, 1 week until St. Patrick's Day. And the next time that you see me on these airwaves. I will not have the chance to tell you before the day is already complete, so I may as well tell you now. It is Paddy, P-A-D-D-Y, not Patty, P-A-T-T-Y. Remember to say Happy St. Paddy's Day, not St. Patty's Day, because St. Patty is a woman. Patty is short for Patricia or Patrice. Paddy is short for Porg. As it's pronounced in Gaelic, but it's Padraig if you want to say it in English. And Padraig is Gaelic for Patrick, and that's why it's Paddy, not Patty. So don't fuck it up.
Very good. I told Stephen Walsh that was coming. You knew it. It's your annual PSA. You do it every year.
Yeah, and I thought about it. I would have done it next week on St. Patty's Day. But we don't record till 10. We won't record till 10.
Yeah, it'll
already be too late anyway.
Yep, very good.
But if you can't guess what the beers will be next week, Mel?
Irish.
Fucking Guinness.
I got two Irish in my fridge.
Very good.
It'll be a gold pint of the black stuff.
Yep, and we still got some of the green spots, so we'll drink that during the EFL show, and we'll have number 6 on the list for the main show. Sound good?
Go. Yeah.
Love it. Make sure there's a little Irish in there too.
I'm in for that.
Very good. Next up is DU Does EFL, where we're going to recap the rest of English football. And then after that, it's going to be injury time, where we recap the beers we were drinking, talk about our fantasy team, our adopted club, and preview the weekend's action. Again, should you want to support the show, Mr. Graham, how do you go about doing that?
Very easy. It's patreon.com/DU Football Show. You get one $5 tier. Just sign up to that. You get all the extra stuff, like Sam said, injury time or preview show, but you also get sound check, which is our actual sound check. Mel's checking our levels. She's moving stuff around. She's doing her headphones, but we talk about our personal lives.
Printing notes.
You get to know us a bit more,
Yeah,
which is pretty good. Not that we're not open books already, Sam, right? You know?
Pretty much.
Come on.
All right, everybody. Till next week.
Guten Nacht.